Hello and welcome to the MHG podcast. As usual, life can be a little bit miserable and life can be a little bit dark. So we're here, well this week, we're not bringing you as much light and joy as possible. We're having a good old rant, which hopefully will bring some of you some catharsis. I'm Bradley and I'm joined by, he's steaming today, Stu. How you doing, Stu?
Oh, I'm looking forward to being able to Cathart on a Cathart Hard today.
Oh, I thought you said fart. No, that's just...
No, I just do that anyway.
That's just really poor. That's just setting low standards.
Lower than normal? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, we're towards the end of... If you're listening to this as it comes out, you know it's Christmas. And it's the end of 2025. If you're listening to this in the post-apocalyptic future, this was the last days of humanity before if it went to crap. And this is what we used to call Christmas. Or the non-denomination evergreen celebration.
You see, it rhymes well, that. I quite like it.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think we should start a campaign next year, go around all like the GBUs and everything, and tell them we're starting a campaign to rename Christmas. I'm sure that'll go down really well.
They'd love it, yeah. It'd fit in perfectly well with their belief system.
Well, they will love it because it's some older engagement for them. Because I refuse to believe they believe half of the shit they peddle.
Yeah. Oh, aye. It's all about the money. It's all about the grift.
Yeah. But yeah, well, we're not going down that route today. We can save that for another day in our hellish future. What we are talking about today, though, is everything miserable this year about video games, including quite a major one that has affected our Game of the Year discussion at the start of 2026. So I think we start off a little bit light, Stu, with regards to our ranting. Let's have a look. Should we start with Nintendo?
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Any other year, you think that would be the worst with what how it's all gone, the upped prices and the poor, I think, in my opinion, the poor release of the Nintendo Switch 2 and everything. But yeah, this is the light part of it. To start off with, I have no idea what their pricing system is, because it just seems to be that they've gone, you fools will buy whatever we say, and they're really trying to test that. Was it 80 quid for Mario Kart World?
Something like that.
And a lot of their other first-party stuff, and their first-party output's not been the best overall in terms of like quantity or quality. I know Donkey Kong Bonanza, is it? Came out, and that done really well. But aside from that, I don't know what they've done that's worth picking up a Switch 2 for. So, yeah, it's a weird one. What are your thoughts on Nintendo at the moment?
Well, it's weird, isn't it? I mean, they're a kind of rinky-dink outfit anyway. They always want to do everything on the cheap.
Yeah.
They always want to do everything on the cheap. And this year, they've really excelled themselves. It's like they just were like, okay, we're right at the end of the Switch 1 life cycle. It's dying. Let's keep releasing stuff that you'd expect to see right at the end of a console's life cycle. And it's like, no, you've released a new one. Remember that bigger one that you've got that, is not very good. And apparently the screen is terrible. And apparently the battery life's terrible. And apparently it's underpowered. But you have got a new console. Well, they did, yeah. But wasn't that the last innovative thing that they actually did?
It was like, you probably could use the mouse for some aiming stuff, but I can't imagine using a Joy-Con turned on its side is the best way to use a mouse.
I think you'd have to lampshade yourself into believing it was a good idea. You know what I mean? I just can't think of it as being fantastic.
It's like when the original Switch first came out, and everyone, including myself, was like, "Oh, but this is brilliant! You got your controllers, and you can turn it into 2 controllers, and we could just play." And then you started playing with them, and after a while, you was going, "This is not fun playing with them like this. Should we just buy a Pro controller?"
Exactly.
Or some extra Joy-Cons, because you can't play like that. That's ridiculous.
It's so weird. I mean, with Nintendo, you can always kind of forget about the kind of failings of the weakness of the hardware, if let's put it like that, because they tend to get good stuff shifting out on the system. But yeah, they've released mediocre titles that are ridiculously expensive, and some of them you don't even own because the cartridge doesn't exist. So I can't imagine how underwhelmed I would have been if I'd actually bought that machine and put a big hole in my bank account for it.
That was always the thing about Nintendo, like especially over the last decade or so, was okay, the games don't lose value, but that's a good thing because you get the physical Nintendo games, and the game card stuff now is just really weird. And I know Nintendo are claiming that all their stuff will only ever be available physical as well, but they will go from that as soon as it doesn't make sense for them to do it anymore. They'll drop it. And I just find the whole thing weird, like the lawsuits they've got going everywhere, and I'm honestly surprised they haven't gone after the makers of playing cards at some point.
I know, right?
Because, Nintendo invented those. I know they didn't, but they might as well claim they did.
They feel they did. Yeah, they feel that they did.
And for anyone who doesn't know their history, Nintendo started off in 1887, I want to say it was. 1887.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But I do know that because that's my chase knowledge for if I ever go on the chase. I know that one.
Yeah. Protect
Which
that
of these
knowledge.
companies is the oldest? It's always Nintendo. Doesn't matter who you use, it's Nintendo because it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, they started off as a playing card manufacturer, stealing other people's ideas. Just want to say.
Well, of course. Yeah. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still Nintendo. You still kind of like go, oh, Nintendo, what you like. And it's really weird how they keep getting away with it.
I think it can only because they've sewn up the kids market. They totally have, and there isn't anything in a handheld form factor that will appease parents enough for them to buy it. Do you know what I mean? It's the price point doesn't seem right on any of the other ones.
This is the other thing that gets me. So their most successful consoles and stuff like that, you had like the Game Boy, you had like the DS, the Wii, the Switch are probably their standout successes. Now, they all had something in common. Do you know what that thing in common was with all of those when they released?
I don't know, because they didn't all have a Mario on release.
They were all priced so much more competitively than the competition.
Right. Yeah.
They was all like, you picked up a DS and it was like, well, that's cheap. That's a great way to get into it. And the R4 card. That's why most people got it, because it was easy to pirate. But anyway, so that sold billions. The Game Boy initially, as I said, they bundled that with Tetris and it saw it gangbusters. The Wii, when that came out, was a budget system that appealed to everyone. The Switch, don't forget, was priced at about the price of a Wii when that came out. So they've done that, and then the Wii U, they overpriced for what it actually was. It was confusing, and they've done the exact same with the Switch too. It's no cheaper. Well, it is now because of what Sony and Microsoft have done with their pricing recently. But when it came out, it wasn't really much cheaper I'd definitely just go for that over the other two. It was like still 480 quid, something like that. Is it now?
Something like that. It's crazy because
ridiculous for a Nintendo product.
Exactly. They're picking cheaper components and then selling it at a high price. That's just bananas.
Yeah. I could pay less than that, get a Steam Deck and still get Nintendo backwards compatibility. So,
Exactly.
So it's they're weird, Nintendo. And I'm still, I think for the first time, I had FOMO over a Wii U. I really wanted one. I had FOMO over a Virtual Boy, for crying out loud. I don't have that for the Switch 2. I'm not looking at the Switch 2 going, oh man, I really wish I had one.
No, there's nothing on there that I'm interested in particularly. It'll be those like, oh, well, I've got one now, I might as well buy some stuff for it and end up with a couple of titles. But, I wouldn't ever feel like I'm missing out on their release date. They really need to get something good out the door, I think one of the big problems is that they're just stopped innovating in terms of what they're doing. They've ground to a halt when it comes to innovation. both in the hardware side and on the software side, which is terrible for Nintendo to do. They're desperate for. They've got Pokemon, which will keep them afloat, but
they peaked with that. They as people notice, people will go for Power World, which isn't Pokemon, but at least it's something different.
Yeah. But I mean, it'll still shift a lot. So they've got a bit of a cushion there, and they've got a bit of a cushion with Monster Hunter being, one of the big titles that sells, a third-party title that sells on Switch.
Yes.
But yeah, other than that, they've got to pull things back.
They have peaked with a lot of their series now. So they've peaked with Mario Kart 8. So anything after that, it's always going to be a bit of a downgrade. And the open world stuff is absolute bobbins anyway. No one plays racing games for open world, going point to point just to get to a new race. It's nice as an option, or if you can actually fully build your game around it, like Burnout Paradise does and do it well, then I get that, because Burnout Paradise has that option where everything you do has an effect. So you get every street has a time to beat or a crash thing to it where you can try and do the most damage you can. So it's every street has something between those point to points if you want it. Whereas from what I understand with Mario Kart World, it's kind of like just open this just for the sake of being there. And that's not innovation. That's just false value, I think is what it is for me. And it's like, and I still don't think Mario Kart's the best kart racer out there anyway. I still think that goes to Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Sonic and Sega All-Stars, whatever it's called, but they just need a naming convention that it's easy to know. And Sonic Cross Worlds is for me, and from a lot of people that understand, sounds like it's better than Mario Kart Worlds, because it's actually got fully featured content and it just takes you to it. So, yeah, I think Nintendo's problem is they've peaked and they're running out of ideas.
Yeah, it feels that way. It feels like that gap left by Shinji Mikami is, the creative force behind everything, or behind the main series at least, has gone. And they can't think of anything new.
I tell you what, I love that you said Shinji Mikami there.
Oh God, yeah, Shigeru Miyamoto. I mean,
because now we are innovating.
Yeah, that would be
horror themed Mario stuff. Let's do it. Nintendo, we've just saved you.
I've had a lot of Resident Evil on my mind lately. That's what I'm blaming.
You've been drinking a lot of Resident Evil by the sounds of it, Stu.
If you can't get pissed on Leon Kennedy at Christmas, what's wrong with you?
No, I know. Actually, we'll break up each negative, because there's the three main ones really, plus maybe a couple of minor ones that will drop in with them. But I was going to go with something quite positive in between, because you mentioned Resident Evil. That's on my docket for next year to try and play through the later games, the last trilogy, because I've played through all the other ones and that. But I've been playing Mass Effect.
Yeah.
And by golly, that's a really good game.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. That was my 2026. My goal was in 2026 to complete the Mass Effect trilogy. Well, if it carries on the way it is, I'm going to finish Mass Effect 2 by the time the new year starts. I'm just
pretty good.
Wow. It's better than Star Wars.
You think it's better than Knights of the Old Republic?
No, not games. It's better than the Star Wars movies in terms of story and plot and character.
Gotcha.
Going into... Have you played Mass Effect? I know you don't do EA now, but have you played the Mass Effect games?
Yeah, I did. I played 1 and 2, and I thought they were both fantastic.
So, so 2's a much better game overall. I wish it had the colour scheme of the first one, because it's really difficult to see, and accessibility back then, was it 15 years ago now, Mass Effect 2?
Gotta be something like that.
So last year, was it Mass Effect 2? Surely. Something like that? I don't know. Can't be 15 years ago.
No, I mean, we were old.
Yeah. Accessibility wasn't as big a deal back then. So there is a lot of forgiving you can do with it. And I didn't bite it. I've had it on my library for ages. It's just never got round to it. And I thought, do you know what? Let's give it a go. Mass Effect 1, I thought, was a brilliant story. With getting to the side stuff was a bit cumbersome, so I missed out a lot of the side stuff on this playthrough. Mass Effect 2 just ups all of that, and, side missions and exploration of it is just, oh my God. And I actually sort of like when you come across characters from the first game back in the second game, you're like, yes, I remember you. You were great. And I regret saving Ashley on the at the end of the first one over Caden because she's a twat. And she turned her back on me, the bitch.
Speak as you find. Speak as you find. Yeah.
But I stuck with it because that was my journey. But yeah, I just think in terms of the political systems that are in it, the relationships between everyone, it's just it all works better than whatever George Lucas has ever put together. So yeah, good in the hood, that one. But I just wanted to, I've got to go on to 3, which I know is considered a wonderful game with a shit ending, but I will be playing it with the fixed ending. So I go into it clean, fresh.
Yeah, I heard that they really improved the ending. Was it with DLC or something?
Yeah, but I believe on the Legendary Edition, which is what I've got, because it was like, I mean, I could pick it up when it was about £2, £3 something on Steam years ago.
Yeah.
And so I've got that. And yeah, that's got all the DLC integrated, I believe. So
lovely.
Yeah. But obviously, worst company of the year is not going to go to EA this year.
No, it actually isn't.
No, they've actually gone about doing their stuff quietly. Not wonderfully. They're not like bastions of integrity, but they've kind of just gone, look, just don't do anything. They're like, they're investing going, what, really? No, honestly, trust us, don't do anything. If we don't do anything, we're golden.
Yeah.
But we've released Skate. Look, that's the worst it's going to get. That's fine. If this Skate's the worst thing we do, it's absolutely fine. Just shush. Because we've got to talk Microsoft.
Yes, we have.
I despair, Stu. Where do you even go with Microsoft? Because to clarify what this is, because have you seen the People Make Games documentary?
No.
So I'll send it to you later. We'll link it in the description as well for anyone who hasn't seen it. People Make Games made a documentary about Microsoft's involvement with the Israeli genocide of Palestine, and how they're using Microsoft's AI technology to hack phones and everything, and communications, and how they're implicit in it. And they done a documentary about the boycott of Microsoft. But what they did initially is on their socials, they put out a poll asking what people thought about the boycott. And they said they had sort of like, surprisingly, there was a number that said they didn't care. We expect some that said, like a very small percentage said, no, this is why we're doing it. 60% said they didn't know what the boycott was and assumed it was to do with the increase in Game Pass prices, and they supported that. They supported the boycott over increased prices, but they didn't care about the genocidal stuff, which was just, it's really sad to see that people care more about that than they do something that's really affecting the world. And I don't just mean the genocide. Like, we all know what AI does, and this will lead to our final bit later. AI is damaging in how it's being used at the moment, both environmentally, morally, and everything. And the People Make Games documentary really brought everything home, and it's eye-opening and depressing. But I just want to get what your thoughts on I suppose, Microsoft's involvement.
Well, it's just exactly as you say. I mean, it's one thing if people try and bury what they're doing, but Microsoft have been pretty blatant about it.
Yeah.
And it all smacks of, the current right-wing push where there's no shame and people are openly fascist and bigoted, and their support of it is pure, not purely down to Trump, but it's following that American pattern style, stylistically it's following that pattern of this is okay to say out loud.
Yeah.
And it's very I mean, you expect this of companies, but even I didn't expect this of Microsoft. And I don't expect when they say it full and loud with their whole chest that people won't pick up, just drop them and actually, use their buying power to refuse this behaviour. So I'm almost more disappointed in the human race in general than I am with Microsoft. But it's all bad.
Oh yeah, it's dreadful. And what gets me is they could have really done a fence it on this, and I think people would have semi-accepted it. Maybe not been happy, but would have semi-accepted. They could have turned around and gone, look, we've produced this technology. We are not saying who can use it. If Palestine wanted to use it in this way, it's there for them. We are not supporting, but the technology is there. And that's it's just how it's being used. But they didn't do that. They went, no, we are explicitly giving them this technology. We are giving them the help they need to do what they are doing to harm the people of Palestine. And that's what hurt the most.
Yeah.
Instantly sold our Xboxes because I just didn't want nothing to do with that. That was before I even knew there was an actual boycott going on, because I don't want to do with that. And before anyone says, yes, we are using Microsoft technology in home PCs and stuff like that, because, again, they've monopolised it in such a way that unless you've got the know-how to get rid of it, which most of us haven't, or you've got the money to jump to a Mac system, like, and get on, not exactly good guy Apple, but get on Apple's side, you're stuck with certain things. And there's many, hospitals and things like that run on Microsoft technology. And it's not, you can't do a straight boycott, which is why you target, and this is why I think it's right, you target their entertainment branch, because it's not going to hurt them the most in terms of finances, because that's not where it all is, but that is where it's going to hurt them in terms of reputation. Because if they have to end up getting rid of Xbox because no one's buying any of their stuff, that hurts them as a rep, because that's their... I'm trying to think what the word is. What is it where you have, like, you could hide or just, like, go, ignore all that stuff over there, but look at this shiny new thing. What's that? I can't remember what that's called. I know it's got a name.
Obfuscation, maybe?
I don't know. But that thing, this is why I'm not a politician or anything like that, because I'd be stepping up on podium and go, yeah, that thing, you all know that thing. I'd be a great politician, actually, because at least I'm open and honest, and I don't think I could bullshit. Well, I can bullshit my way through everything, but I couldn't stick to a script.
No, but then you'd say things and forget them, but the electorate would remember them. That'd be the big problem.
Yeah. But they'd love me for it, wouldn't they, Stu?
Of course they would. Who
Quirky.
wouldn't?
But yeah, it's... I don't know, and I don't see it getting any better into the new year and 2026 and beyond. Are Microsoft going to be Skynet?
They could be. The whole thing is trending in a very, very dark direction at the moment. If only the worst thing that comes out of all of this is that, AI is a bit rubbish, then that's fine. But it won't be that, because there's terrible environmental consequences, which is, the next debate. But Microsoft themselves, you've just got to hope that they fall into a pit. Now, there might be a good, upturn, a positive, in the fact that nobody's going to be able to afford new PCs and everything's going to have to run on old hardware for several more years, in that there might be a bigger switch to Linux because it's less heavy going as an OS. So there might be a switch to Linux for a lot of people, eking out a little bit more from their old hardware, which might mean a big downturn for Microsoft. So that's one possible positive.
So yeah, I am wondering if Valve are aware of everything, which is why they've made the push for what they have with Steam OS and sort of giving easy access to desktop modes that have been sort of really made user friendly, because the Bazite is built off whatever Steam OS is built on, is actually a lot easier to use than any previous versions of Linux that I've ever looked at. So I wonder whether they've seen this happening and have gone, right, we can swoop in. We can swoop in and we can take over this market and this market. Because, again, Gabe Newell comes across as a lovable type, but he's still going to be a ruthless businessman. And I do wonder whether they've spotted this and can see the gap on where they can pick it up.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. I think, it's been trending this way for quite some time. And one of the positives of Microsoft, again, saying how horrible they are with their full chest means that they're exposing their business plans, and it's definitely ripe to be capitalized on.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, for Valve, it benefits them if hardware improvements stagnate for a bit. It helps them because their Steam Deck still becomes a viable option for newer games because they can work on just getting those working. And the Steam Machine, when that comes out, is essentially a Steam Deck 1.5 in terms of power, in terms of the extra power it's got just without the screen. And if we go, right, look, technology, everything's getting more expensive, so this is where it's going to be for a while. Just make your games for this. Just make stuff for this.
Yeah.
People are going to have it. It's going to be the cheapest alternative out there for people. Because we're running AMD, we're not using NVIDIA, who have decided to go, have swallowed the red pill by the sounds of it, and have really jumped in with the, we don't really care about games anymore, we're going for AI. It's like, yeah, okay, but you're a games company, NVIDIA, what are you doing? And some of the RAM manufacturers, so they've gone with AMD who haven't yet done that. Everything seems to be falling into place for them. And that's in terms of the gaming side of it, and like the general everyday use of stuff from our point of view, that seems to be the one benefit that does come from it. I would swap it all for an end to the genocide in Gaza, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's, everything, not everything, but with Microsoft, everything kind of leads back to AI. I mean, any of these big tech companies, it's all leading back to AI ultimately. And, I think that leads us into the last of the big topics, which is AI.
Yeah.
Absolutely abysmal.
And I'm just going to jump straight into it. For anyone, for weeks now, I've been saying my game of the year is locked in. There's no discussion to be had. It's my fault, Stu, because I said Claire Obscure, Expedition 33 is my game of the year. And that's no longer the case. I morally cannot use a game that was partly developed with, I don't care what they say about they've taken it out now, and I'll explain why that matters. Them having taken it out, them taking it out does not matter. Disqualifies it. I cannot have it as my game of the year. Because it's destroying the industry. And the second you have any acceptance of it, and again, this is where we've got to talk about what AI is. So before we carry on, do you mind if I just do a quick explanation on the two differences of AI in the gaming sphere?
Go for it.
So what we're talking about is Gen AI that creates assets, and it's basically taking creativity away from the industry, which is having a damaging effect. Anything that requires creativity to do, so that's programming, that's doing tasks, it's art, it's voices, it's writing, all of that stuff is wrong from a creative point of view and a moral point of view. We talk about AI in terms of enemy behaviour patterns in Uncharted or Mass Effect or things like that, or how drivers react in like the Toka series or Forza and stuff like that, or in the sports game, how they are. That's not what we're talking about with AI. That's human-made artificial intelligence. They've wrote a program that says if the character does this, let these characters think in this way. They've written that as a artificial intelligence with their talent. It is not what is the modern interpretation of AI. I hope that makes sense to people. I've stumped you.
Yeah, no, I thought you were just going to go into like the next bit, but it absolutely. It would be so much better if there was a better way of explaining these things. If there was a language that people commonly used to explain the difference between, creating a program that has its own fake intelligence and generative AI, which is just a large language model, really, just that pulls things from everywhere and spins it up into an image. But you're right about Clair Obscur. It's very, very disappointing. If we want to get rid of this stuff, we do have to boycott these releases because it's the only thing that will work. And what is good is that it seems to have empowered and innovated all sides of the political spectrum when it comes to games. Like, it doesn't matter what your politics are, people don't want it in their games. They just don't. They think of it as lazy, they think of it as a shortcut, they think of it as taking like the quality out of it by, I mean, the right wing don't care that artists aren't getting paid because they don't care about artists, but they care about the fact that they're going to start seeing the same things repeated over and over again.
Yeah.
Because from a purely selfish perspective. But, and the left wing obviously see it as terrible because it puts artists out of a job.
Left or right, we all can appreciate Van Gogh's sunflowers. It's and so we doesn't matter. Okay, you're right. It doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on in terms of political affiliation. We all appreciate creativity, and the right wing can be creative. I don't like their stuff, but they can be creative. There's some right-wing comedians out there, but I'm not going to lie, a couple of lines they've done, I've gone, all right, that is quite funny. I don't think they're funny. And it's like when you watch those horrible straight-to-DVD sex comedies and stuff, you look at it and go, this is crap. And then every so often there's a bit you go, yeah, that was quite funny, actually. So, but everyone needs creativity. Doesn't matter where you're from and who you are or what your political beliefs are. So you're 100% right there.
Yeah, it's everybody hates it in games, and let's hope that people will stop spending the money. It worked with Call of Duty. People had a massive reaction to that, didn't they?
Yeah. To which I think they've already Activision gone, well, we're not going yearly anymore.
Exactly.
So
can make a massive difference so fast.
Yeah, and they can polish that up however they want with we just want more creativity and we want to give our teams more. It's like, no, you've been caught out and you're in the shit, so you've got to really back yourself out of that. It's like with the Microsoft stuff. To be fair, I don't put Bethesda, Activision, etc., Double Fine in with Microsoft. In terms of they are inherently evil, they are, unfortunately, they will be the ones who suffer because of it. I will not buy The Keeper, which is Double Fine's latest, which is apparently really good. I will not buy it because it's Microsoft. South of Midnight, an amazing game that has some amazing political undertones to it about racism and how people are seen in the world. Wonderful game. Will not buy it. Will not buy. I played it on Game Pass before this came out, but I will not buy that now because of what's happening with Microsoft. But the Clair Obscur stuff, what's really upset me, I was playing a tattoo based on the game and everything, such as it's like what it meant to me playing it. And I'm not going to take away from my enjoyment of it because it was an amazing game. But this is where you've got to decide where the line is and how much rope you give people, because you start saying, oh yeah, but it was only in the development stage, it was only placeholders, and they have taken it out. That's not acceptable. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago with regarding Thomas Was Alone. Your game has got to make sure it is as fun and a core experience with the most basic elements. So if you've got to use a couple of crudely drawn images that you then turn into a PNG and put in that as a placeholder that someone in your team has created, that is fine. If you just use a couple of boxes, like red boxes, to replace these, and it still plays, that is fine. Generative AI takes jobs away from people. Maybe it hasn't in Clair Obscur's case at the moment, but when they do their next game, do they then turn around and go, oh, do we need a concept artist? What, just AI it? That's the job gone. And I can't support that.
Yeah, exactly. There is no good scenario that comes out of this. It's just purely to make money. This is the only, the root of it and the full extent of it as well. It's, terrible.
Yeah, and the industry knows it as well, because one of the first things that came out I saw after, Because first of all, I thought, I went, is this real? Is this a real article? I don't know, because I only see like one article. I went, is it a comedy article? I haven't got a clue. And then it turned out it was real. But the makers of Blueprints, which is the fantastic rogue puzzle game, they've come out and gone, every single element of Blueprints, right from the concept up to the final development, the art, everything was done by talented members of their team. No AI included. And I think it's a sad state of affairs where you're having teams having to come out now and admit and to go, look, we've not used anything. Don't lump us in with this. Don't assume we've got it. We'll come out and go, we have not used this. Shouldn't be needed. Should not be needed. But unfortunately, that's where we are.
Yeah, I know. It's a terrible state. It's gonna have such a massive impact on the industry. It really is, and especially as the price of RAM is going to be absolutely phenomenally sky high now as well, which means that you can't upgrade your computers, and that's all because of AI data centers, which yeah, it's just going to be in absolutely everything.
The one advantage is, though, you'll be able to trade in your Steam Deck for a brand new house by the end of 2026.
I know, right? Yeah, I've got a couple of sticks of DDR4 RAM in my PC that are probably worth more than my house now.
It's like Fallout, like where you go collecting like trash and it's all got value, like coins and that got value. It's what we are turning into. It's like almost everything's pathetic. It's not like none of it's actually entertainment. Everything's just setting us up for the world going to shite.
Yep. Yeah, as I say, well, hopefully, I'm willing to put up with there being like no new hardware, making do with what we've got, as long as the AI bubble bursts and because there's a bit of a disaster and then we get back to the way we were in the future. That would be good.
Or, whatever the wasteland you're going to live in, Stu.
I'll take the east.
Okay. I'm going to go in live in Uketown. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, you'd be good.
Not Uketown. What was it? Was it Uketown? No, that's Call of Duty, isn't it? Uketown, no.
I thought that was Fallout.
Fallout was Uketown. Well, there's a Uke something in Call of Duty, one of the maps. I don't know. But the one that explodes, it'll be fine.
You're asking the wrong clown when it comes to Call of Duty.
Yeah, I know of it. I think I played it like in the first few times, and it'd be like it's just the same game over and over. But yeah, I don't know. So my game of the year, I don't know now. This is the worst thing about it. Forget everything else. I've now got to think.
I don't like having to think.
I know. I've got to think about what my game of the year is now because there's loads of options.
Yeah, it's actually quite fun though, because start from scratch.
Well, I'll be making it up on the day, Stu. I'll go through it and go, it's this.
Excellent. That's what we like to hear. Don't change the habits of a lifetime.
Again, it's why I'd be a boss politician.
Too right.
What are we doing? I don't know. What, if you need more food? Oh, yeah, just everyone, food's free. Off you go.
Yeah.
Have at it.
That's definitely you.
But, yeah. So, yeah, but that's the tip of the shit iceberg that's been 2025 in games. But after the new year, which will be the next episode, we're going to celebrate the best of 2025. And for all the shit there's been, tell you what, there's been a hell of a lot of great stuff that we can celebrate. And that's always good. It doesn't matter how shit it is, there's still something you can look at and go, but that was worth it.
Absolutely. There's tons of great stuff. I'm really looking forward to talking about that.
Indeed. But yeah, hopefully your Christmas, your New Year, your non-denomination evergreen celebration isn't a shit one, and you have a decent holidays, a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, or whatever you celebrate. Just enjoy it, relax, and we will see you in the new year. Stu, I'll be quiet now.
Right, well, as usual, follow us on all the socials. Make sure you're checking out our content on the website. Join us on Discord if you want to chat, and until next time and the new year, stay safe and stay sane.